So the first thing is, who are millennials? So millennials are basically 15 to 35 this year. When I started, they were 13 to 33. They obviously have some buying power. They're not where baby boomers are today, but they're obviously growing as a population. They're there. But I think the one thing that you could probably say overall is they don't like to be marketed to. And what does that mean? So are you guys active in social media? Do you guys have accounts? Do you post things on social media? Is there anybody here that puts up a post and takes it down? Like you put up a post and you don't see enough reaction? Does anybody do that? Yeah? So you go, I can do better than that. I only got 5 likes, right? So what is that? That's what this consumer is doing. They are their own marketer. So when we start trying to figure out how to market to them, we're like a marketer marketing to a marketer. We better be doing a tie-in promotion. We're not really selling them something. And that really kind of evolves over how consumers have started to think and how we have thought as marketers. So one of the concepts that we started to come back with was, where did marketing come from? And it really came from the military. A lot of where advertising and the C-suite came from was media equals troops. If you have the most media budget, you have the most troops on the ground. If you don't have a media budget, well, you can do guerrilla marketing. You can come at them a different way. You can slice off something. And that was the way people believe. And there's a lot of brands that still believe that way. And you'll see that they're not doing very well against millennials today. But just to give you an idea where that came from, there was a book written in the late 80s called Positioning the Battle for the Mind. It was the definitive book if you were in advertising. It was, you learned what was the difference between brands and how they could be differentiated. These same guys, Reese and Trout, who were the guys in the 80s, came back a couple years later and wrote this book, Marketing Warfare. And every single chapter equates marketing to war. And it's strategy, it's execution, it's blitzes. And you know what? That doesn't work at all for this consumer. And that's where a lot of the traditional thinking is going today. One of the things that you'll see when we start getting into the favorite brands is brands that advertise a lot don't necessarily win over consumers. And that's one of the things that we've been learning is there is a connectivity there, but it may not be just delivery. And one of the best ways I've heard it referred to is, weapons of mass persuasion. That was the way that marketing was done, and that was the way that a lot of the C-suite today still thinks. So just so you know, we brought in this company called Great Questions. I've deployed them 3 different times. We looked at national panel surveys. We looked at an equal number of men, women, age groups. We've tried to break it down so we have 5-year increments, and we made sure we have geographically, correct statistics. So you can kind of see where we're going with that. So I'll show you that we set that up. But the first thing we learned is that these guys have their own way of doing things. And we gave them 36 ways to describe themselves. And here's what came out of this. There's 4 variations of how much I love myself. I'm positive, I'm self-directed, I'm a free spirit, I'm confident. And that doesn't change from each age group. And I've broken it down below, and you don't have to worry about the details because it comes out about even. It doesn't change when they get in their 20s. And one of the things that's happening here, and obviously it's the way that this generation has grown up, but now with the way that we have this job shortage coming up, and I don't know if you know that there's a labor shortage coming in. That's why Walmart, McDonald's, and I'm trying to think who else, Target raised their basic hourly wage to $10 because they know that they're going to be forced with a labor shortage. And what we've got is, if you're college educated and you're 22 right now, the world is your oyster. You're going to be able to do anything you want. As long as you can walk and talk and sell yourself, people are going to believe you and you're going to do really well, which means they're going to become upwardly mobile really quickly, which means that this confidence is just going to grow even more. So what else did they tell us? They love their devices. We know that. And then they say they read a lot. What are they reading? They're reading their phone. They're reading everything and anything on their phone. And that's what's coming up. But they consider that reading a lot. And you'll see when we get into the detail that everything counts as content when you start marketing to this group. So one of the things that we saw, this is one of the things that just came out this year, was Entrepreneur did a thing that said millennial consumers do 18 hours of content a day. So from the minute they wake up, they're consuming content. And content is everything. It's BuzzFeed, it's articles, it's short little blips. Everything counts as content There's no more, hey, I get all my information from any one place. It's just a lot of it coming at them at the same time. So the next thing you need to know is obviously the connection is there from the minute they wake up, and that's kind of what that's showing us. One of the things that we ask consumers on the latest round I did in January is how quickly do you look at your phone when you wake up? And I would say you guys are probably in the same boat, but 35% say they do it within 5 minutes of waking up. So all that's well and good, except for none of this matters unless you can tell somebody about it. Nothing matters. So here's a guy, he's running with the bulls, he's about to get gored, but he's taking a picture of himself. So what is this about, right? This is called validation. This means, and I call this punching my ticket. I'm good, I'm confident, I feel great, I can do anything. I got to tell you about it. And if I can't tell you about it, then it really didn't happen. So that's what I'm going to do. And that is pervasive in how we do things. I was talking to some people here. Sharing what your personal situation is with other people is a big part of what life is today. And millennials are sort of leading the charge, but I will tell you that I think it's everyone's going to be connected by this way. So the first thing that we did was we asked 1,000 millennial consumers to give us their 3 favorite brands unaided. So these are 3 empty boxes. Tell us who your 3 favorite brands are. And what we saw was some surprises. Number 1 is Walmart is a favorite brand, but Budweiser isn't. There's not one beer brand that showed up. I had 620 responses on 3,000 potential answers. I got no beer brands. There's no, I'm a Bud man, I'm a Bud fan. Walmart shows up. Why is that? Because they can buy cheap stuff there, because it's the mall in a lot of small towns. I've got stuff like 7th generation dishwashing liquid. Really? Because they have something that they say that's good for the environment, but Budweiser doesn't show up. I've never seen the 7th generation app. Maybe there is one, I guess, in people or something. Same thing with Pascal. I mean, they've shown up every single time. Why do they show up? Because they make me look good. And what I see is a lot of retailers, a lot of fashion. I see a lot of electronics, a little bit of American cars, maybe. Toyota shows up, a little bit of aspirational brands. But really, I see things that are about me. What can you do for me? This is, I think, is the most important thing of how we connect with this group is if you